What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your Lake Fort Guide, and we are finally, golly, that's a big stump. That is the world's biggest stump. Hey, it's January, and it's really cold. You can see the fog coming off the water. I got my boy Heath Taylor here, and we're actually going to go fishing today for spawning, pre-spawn, and post-spawn bass. On like January 4th. What? That's weird.
Well, the water was like -3 degrees.
We'll explain that in a minute. The water's really hard. It's -3 degrees. Y'all stay tuned. Hey guys, make sure you stay tuned to the end of today's video, because not only are we going to be on the water showing you fish catches, breaking it down, we're also going to have some swim bait tips and tricks from the dude who's the best guy that I know throwing swim baits in East Texas. That's going to be Mr. Heath Taylor. Going to give you the top secret juice. Y'all stay tuned for that at the end. My guy. This is my guy. If you haven't watched the channel before, if you've only watched it for like the last year, you probably haven't seen this guy. This is Heath Taylor, Smash Tech Custom Baits out here in East Texas, based in Pittsburgh, Texas. Makes some of the finest custom-made twin baits you'll ever meet. It's a small-time company. He keeps it that way. That's the way he likes it. But this guy absolutely makes some of the best baits that I've ever fished in my life, especially when it comes to swim baits. He's the guy. In fact, Heath, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rods on the deck, and
At least 7 of them. 6 or 7 of them have swim baits.
yeah, 7 have swim baits, and 1 has an A-rig with a swim bait on it. He's the swim bait guy. But we are fishing for spawning bass. It's kind of weird, but this is a lake you grew up on, fished a lot. It's a lake we fished a lot together. It's a lake I've fished a lot.
I haven't fished it much lately.
No, not lately. Neither one of us have been on it in forever and a day, so we're really trying to figure this out. But this is Lake Welsh, and Lake Welsh is a heated power plant lake. It's kind of a, the locals all know about it, and you guys that are really into bass fishing, y'all are going to know this. So fast forward this part. But if you don't know, these are power plant lakes, and there's a plant that generates electricity on the lake. They cycle water through it. It dumps heated water into the lake, and it keeps the water temperatures elevated in the wintertime. And because of that, the water temperatures never really usually get below 60 or so, and even no matter how cold it gets. And so the fish actually spawn all throughout winter. It kind of starts in late November sometimes, early December sometimes, and then they'll spawn throughout December, January, February, and sometimes they'll keep spawning into March and April. But really, most of the spawning takes place in January and February. Correct. But we're not looking at beds, and we might look at beds at some point today.
We may look if I can't catch them on the way I want to catch them.
But this is a clear lake with a lot of grass in it. Heath loves throwing a swim bait. If you're in the south and you got relatively clear water and you got grass in a lake, swim bait's usually going to be a safe bet to get you some bites. And oh yeah, swim baits will catch a little bit of a big one. So right now, he's going to throw swim bait. I'm going to throw everything else until we figure out. Come along with us today, because we're really going to have to figure it out. We have no clue what has been happening at Lake Welsh. And there's another buddy of mine right over there, Kelly Nutt. You may talk to him in a minute.
Looks like Santa Claus.
He does kind of look like Santa Claus. What up, Santa Claus? Hey.
Way behind on get shit done for the phone time.
When is that? What day is that?
18, somewhere around there. That weekend?
Yeah. Well, the 5th is Friday. It's the 6th. 8th. That's a fish.
Little one.
Just barely loaded up on that chatterbait, dude.
Yeah.
He's cold. He don't even want to fight. Look at him.
It's cold because it's like the size of the one I missed.
Ow. Well, numero uno, folks.
Giant bass.
Little baby.
Giant bass.
All right, so just saw us catch our first one, man. It's been really, kind of, I guess, to be expected when you don't fish somewhere for a while. You kind of got to feel your way out and figure things out. And we've wandered around. There's a big grass flat up here that fish like to stage on right before they spawn, right after they spawn on Lake Welsh. They get all over this grass flat. If you've been here, you know the north end is just a massive, massive grass flat. Hydrilla everywhere. You can see, hopefully that shows down in the water right there, but hydrilla all around us. And we've just been wandering around that looking for a group of fish or some bites, or just trying to figure out how to catch one out here. And one thing I told you guys, water doesn't hardly ever get below 60 out here. Hell, this water up here is like 58, 59, 57, or the water temps we're seeing. That's kind of bad news. We have had our longest stretch of consistently cold nights that we've had for the whole winter season this year. I don't know that they've been generating. They are generating this morning. I can see it running behind the camera back there. But I don't know that they've been generating very consistently because of how low the water temps are. That's pretty abnormal. And what does happen on these power plant lakes, they're great when they're generating all the time and you get fish spawning when it's super cold. But when they stop generating in the middle of winter and you get some cold nights, it drops that water tip all of a sudden. These fish are really not used to that, and it can make it very difficult to get bites on the hot water lakes when there's no hot water. It's like, we're cheating because it's heated, and then when it's not heated, it ain't cheating no more. It gets flat tough, and it's even more of a shock to those fish because they're just not used to it like your cold water lake fish are. So chatterbait, first bite, little bitty fish. We're going to keep moving around. May make a move here in a little while to get closer to the discharge, so that hopefully that can help us water temperature wise, and maybe that'll make them bite a little better. But that's what we're thinking right now. It's all about the water temp. Right now, it's cold and tough. Taylor, you almost fell off the boat. Pretty decent fish there, old son. That's a good one.
Good one for well.
Oh, big.
I almost fell out of the boat.
That's so big right there.
I had to stick my foot underneath the grass just to hold on to my... I forgot you're crippled. So
you want me to help?
I'll grab him.
Oh, okay. I'm filmmaking over here, man. I'm Hollywood.
That's a big one for well,
that
son.
That is a stud, bud. Taylor, that's so big, son.
That's a big one for Welsh.
Got the old
baby gizzard.
Baby Gary.
Little baby gizzard.
Little Gary in his face.
Made about 10 casts with him.
Old Swimbait special.
In the corner.
That's a real good candidate for big bass at a tournament at Welsh right there. Yeah, that's probably going to get it done.
That's a good one for here.
That's old stud. Nice job, dude. That's awesome. Great job. So, there you go. Letting the big one go. Man, made a little bit of a move like we just talked about on the last little fish that I caught. Just got a little close to the discharge. We're not even all the way down there by it yet, but the water temperature went up a few degrees, got up over 60.
Yeah, about 3 degrees.
Got that water temp over 60. That seems to be kind of a magical number. If you get over 60, things start changing, whether you're on a cold water lake or hot water lake. Below 60, especially if it's been cooling off to that, can be kind of tough. And then above 60 can really kind of get the juices going a little bit, and that was a sure enough good. And how was the bite, Taylor? Did he just...
Yeah, he wrecked it. Like I said, I almost fell out of the boat.
You did almost fall out of the boat.
I was not ready at all.
I don't know if the folks at home are going to catch it on the GoPro because I was facing kind of this way. It's a wide angle. I don't know if it's that wide, but yeah, my boy almost went swimming.
I had to stick my foot underneath the grass mount.
He was... Show him the move you did.
Yeah, it was doing something like this.
He was holding himself on with his foot. Listen, we're real good friends, and it's rarely is it boring around here. I will tell you that.
Got another one, Billy.
Hey, you got there, Taylor.
Pretty good.
That's not a bad one either.
It ain't near as big as that last one.
It's like if you go to those swim baits, you might not get many bites, but by golly, when you do, they'll count. Nice.
Not a bad one.
Good job, dude. I'll roll. Dude, stud.
Another good one.
I'll tell you what. Heath, if you were fishing a tournament out here, you just need 2 more bites and you win.
Not bad.
That is awesome, dude. That's a good one right there.
She hit it like she's supposed to.
Is this kind of like classic swimbait fishing where you don't get many bites, but they're good?
It's kind of the way it is.
Even though you're throwing little swimbait.
Yeah, even though, well, bluebird post front, east wind, sometimes you got to finesse swimbait.
Let me see it. Show it. Just, there you go.
She's getting beat up though.
Yeah.
A little 4-inch baby gizzard.
Yeah, put your hand next to it for a reference. People can see how small it is. There you go. Yeah, small little swimbait.
Little 4-aught owner beast hook.
Yeah. It's doing it though. Well, he's catching a couple good ones, as you guys are seeing. He's not catching a lot, but he's catching some studs. I am not catching jack or squat at this point. But he's been doing a little swimbait deal, man. It's kind of one of them things. I think this is where you look at it for me with what he's doing today. And what I see is when you're confident in something. You always hear guys at the highest level bass fish talking about how important confidence is. Swimbaiting really doesn't make a lot of sense for the conditions today and the way the fish are behaving. Even the bites he's gotten are really spread out. We've seen some fish wanting to be up around a bed when we've gotten shallow, like there are some spawning fish like we talked about, but they're not committed by any means. They're running from the boat real hard, like not even enough to even think about stopping on them and trying to catch them. And that's common when it gets cold like that. They'll back off their bed or not be as committed to it and kind of hang around the area, but not really be catchable. This is not the type of day you're going to go, man, it's a swim bait day. Like, that's not really what you would think of. But Heath has been throwing swim baits, and he's so committed to it. And he loves doing it so much. He's just got so much confidence that it's really making the difference today. His confidence in that swim bait, and you know, like I said, he ain't catching very many. But in this game, you don't always have to catch a lot. You only catch 5, Heath. 5 in 8 hours, if they're the right 5, makes a lot of money in this game. You know what I mean?
That's all you need.
And he's on track, folks. He is on track. It's a lot of fun to get to know guys like this and get to share the boat with them. You get to see some cool stuff.
Good enough. Smart enough.
And doggone it. Darn it. People like me. Around the stump. Around the stump. Get out there, William. Around the stump. Oh, I just missed a bit. It's all coming together now, ain't it, Heath?
Just got to stick with it.
Later in the day, sunshine, bring them fish up.
A little warmer water.
Make them feel all right.
Okay.
Make them feel all right. So that one's not as big.
Now that's big.
It's not bad. Chunk. It's got some thickness to it. I like it. Looks really big right now.
Yeah. Then you do this.
There it is. Stud. Good job, babe. A 3, 4, 5, 6 pounder. I'm glad I brought you today.
I'm glad I'm here.
Really, really glad. Glad you know me.
Glad I'm here.
Convict, because we didn't have the right gear. Didn't have the right rod or line, so I had a little short, 7-foot heavy frog rod that I. There we go. Got him, William. Little one again.
Little feller.
Oh, chatterbait can't catch nothing but a baby, Taylor.
Little guy.
We just
He's cute though.
Man, you know what? That looks a lot like a bass. It looks just like one, Heath. A little bit smaller though.
I've heard you say that.
That's a patented your Lake Fork guide term for a lot of years now, right there. So
what does that say about you though?
What?
That you say that a lot.
It says that you better keep on catching big fish and making good video content, because I got no other use for you as a friend, because you're being mean now. You're being mean. You're just being mean. Chatterbait, catching small fish. It's not usually what it does, but it does it today. So I don't really know what to say about that, Taylor. Folks at home, if you can hear me down there, I have been trying lots of things. I've tried a jerkbait, I've tried an Alabama rig, I've tried a trap, thrown a lot of different things today, and apparently I need to be throwing a little shad looking swim bait, custom made out here in East Texas, to catch one worth catching. Or maybe, just maybe, I just kind of suck.
I had that theory.
I figured you would have it. That's how you know we're truly good friends. The trash talking, there's no sympathy involved at all.
Not a big one, not a tiny one.
No, just an old tweener.
Just a decent one.
Bigger than my last one.
Another baby Gary.
Oh, little Gary. Oh, Jack.
He thought he was.
Dude, you're all silhouette right now. You look good. You look good in black.
Yeah, the man in black.
Yeah, I can't even see the fish at all. Oh, saw him. Saw him as he came out the window at the side door there. Wait, that was tough by Welsh standards. I mean, from our experience out there, and I know some of you guys that have been out there are like, man, they didn't really catch them. Good thing is you caught some good ones. You caught a few good. I mean, that's a few. Those are pretty good sized fish on Lake Welsh. It's, you know, the thing about Lake Welsh is it just doesn't really have the top end big bass that a lot of our other lakes in East Texas do.
Like I said, you know, if you ever catch a 6-7 pounder, it's a big one.
Just, yeah, an 8 pounder is a unicorn.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about it. I've caught one 8 pounder ever.
Yeah, I think I've only caught one over 7 all the years I fished out there.
But boy, the abundance, it didn't show it today, but normally what that lake is known for, if you haven't gone there, it's worth the trip. Because usually what that lake is known for is just an overwhelming amount of 3 and 4 pound type fish, some 5s, you know, like just good, fun fish to catch, and just numbers and numbers and numbers of them. Conditions were against us. We've had a long string of cold nights now, by far the coldest stretch we've had this season. And post-frontal, you know, bluebird sky, I don't know if it's post-frontal, but bluebird skies, I guess it is post-frontal. It's bluebird, it's cold, yeah, wind's blowing out of the east, it's all that stuff.
Yeah, east wind. Northeast wind. I figured when you called me and I looked at the weather forecast, I knew it was going to be not ideal, but
good thing is on them heated lakes, sometimes you can still at least get some bites. And we did get some bites, you know. We didn't by any means fish an absolute full day. But good time, man. Learned some stuff from it. I'll tell you what I think I want to do right now while we have you, if you'd be so gracious to share some time and knowledge. As you guys can see, this dude's handy with a swim bait. When you can't catch him on much of nothing else, he can still catch them on a swim bait. So if you don't mind, let's go talk some swim bait tips and tricks to add to the end of this video and help our viewers catch some fish.
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it. All right, guys, we're in the what I like to call the Smash Factory. This is the Smash Captain because he is the owner and sole operator, pretty much. I guess we can count
Wife
Miss
helps.
Jen. Yeah.
Wife and kids help with packaging sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. But Smash Tech Custom Bait, SmashTech.com. You can find them on Tackle Warehouse. Like we said, the guy makes just a plethora of swim baits. I don't know how many different models of swim baits you got. It's a lot, though. Line throughs, glide baits, jointed baits, weedless baits. You got any swim bait option that somebody wants, you've got a very good option in that category. So, cool tank you got, dude. Big swim tank. Pretty large. This is a new addition.
Yeah, very dirty, but yeah.
Yeah. Since the last time I've been here, well, listen, you ain't got time to clean stuff up when you're Mad Hattering in here, busy creating weird science and all that.
You got a full-time job and a second full-time job. You kind of neglect the picking up things.
Absolutely. So let's do this, man. This is how I think we ought to do this. So let's go into general tips. And if we want to show anything else as we go along, you think anything, just throw it in there. Nothing's ever scripted around here on your Lake Fork Guy. We're just winging it. How about give me 2 tips for beginners, like guys that haven't been into swim baits. They're intimidated by the big baits. They're maybe new to bass fishing, whatever it is. They really haven't gotten into swim baits all that much. Give me 2 tips for those guys.
There's a couple good ones would be start off small. Like, don't go straight to 7, 8, 9 inch baits. Like I said, if you watch the fishing at Welsh, we were throwing a little 4 inch, or I was throwing a little 4 inch gizzard shad. Start with something in that 4, 5. I wouldn't go no bigger than 6 inch to start with. 6 inches is a good beginner's bait. I said the 4 to 6 inch range, because you can throw it basically on. You can take a flipping stick, like I threw this bait all day long on a 7.3 heavy action rod.
Just a normal
with 14-pound fluorocarbon.
Yeah, and I think that is something. Some people that aren't getting into swim baits are hesitant to, are probably intimidated by the fact they need special gear and blah blah blah. No, you don't. No, you don't. There's all different kinds of swim baits.
You see a lot of people go out there, and it always it kind of makes me chuckle. Sometimes you'll see people, they'll have a 6 inch mag draft or something, you know, a weedless swim bait or a line through swim bait or a harness swim bait, and they'll have it tied to a 8-foot
broomstick
heavy action swim bait rod,
like a special swim bait rod.
Yeah, with like a 300 or 400 size reel with the huge handles, and it looks like they're going offshore fishing, and they're throwing a 6 inch bait. You don't need all that for a 4 to 6 inch bait. You absolutely can use heavy action bass rod, like
7.3 to 7.6 heavy.
Yeah. Bass rod. Like I said, I could get by. Of course, this is a softer rod, but you could bump up to like a 7.3 heavier action rod, like a worm or a jig rod, and you can handle anything up to like a 6 inch line through, or even really one of our 7 inch line through felons. You could throw that on a Carolina rig rod. You know, something that you would fish a jig or Carolina.
I would interject real quick and say this: when the time you need to upsize your rod is 2 situations. One is going to be when the bait is so heavy that it dictates that you need a bigger rod to handle that bait. For your bigger hard baits, your 6 inch, 7 inch plus hard baits that sometimes can weigh 3, 4, 5 ounces.
Yeah, that's a whole nother category.
Now you got to have different gear. The other time, in my opinion, that you need to upsize your gear is if you're throwing a 7 inch or bigger weedless bait and you're using a 10-aught hook. 8-aught hook, probably not. But once you get to that 10-aught hook size,
when you get into
then you've got to have the bigger rod just to drive that nail through the bass's head. Like to get that big of a hook,
for the simple
to penetrate, you got a big rod.
Is the wire size on the hooks? Like, see, this is a 4-aught owner beast hook. The wire size is not that huge. Right. Like I said, you can, all the fish I caught today, it was they were very well stuck.
Right.
No problem. Even though it's a heavy rod, but it's actually got a really soft tip on it, which I kind of like for swim baits, because it kind of lets them see how soft that tip is, and it starts being stiffer right here. That's one of the kind of keys. If you are just looking for a rod to throw swim bait, always pick something with a little bit of a tip.
Okay.
Like I said, it lets them, especially a weedless bait, it lets them eat it. Because another good tip, like I said, for people that are throwing swim baits as beginners, when they eat this, a lot of the bites, you know, today we had some of those really violent bites and some of them that just kind of loaded up. When they hit it so hard, you're going to want to jerk right away. Fight that urge. It's not like a spinnerbait or, you know, a rattle trap and you're ripping it through and one hits it and you instinctively jerk. You've got to let them go ahead and eat it and load up on it and then set the hook. And
so rig that bait like you're ready to fish it, okay? Like skin hook it like you do.
I've made it to fit this 4/0 hook. You'll basically go in the belly. You'll go all the way to the back of that top hook slot and you'll come straight up. And you'll come straight out and then you'll fix the bait around the weight. Now, when you first get this hook out of the package, all of those owner beast hooks kind of curve in out of the package just a little bit.
You spring it a little bit.
I'll take pliers, and I've already done this one. I'll take pliers and I'll grab it right here and I'll just open that hook up. It doesn't hurt the hook. It doesn't make it where it's going to straighten out on you. Like I said, you're not throwing a 4/0 hook on a big broomstick anyway, so you're not going to straighten this hook out. I'll take and I'll open it up to where when it lays in that top slit, I can run my finger across there. And
do you ever actually skin hook it back into the plastic anywhere in here?
Not this one with the top hook. I do not.
Because you've created that slot.
That's
for
why
that
I made this slot for this size.
So if you get some other swim baits, they're not going to have as deep or as well constructed of a hook slot as this one has here. Let me show them.
Now the 5-inch, you do have to skin hook. The 5 and the 6-inch weedless, you will skin hook through.
So most of your swim baits, you are going to have to skin hook back in. Now, my whole point of this, we've kind of taken a different road than I was planning on, but that's okay because I'm not going to interrupt him. But my rule of thumb that I tell all my guide customers is look at the hook. How's it rigged? That determines how you set the hook. So when you skin hook a hook back into the top of the bait, that is rigged the same way that you rig a crawl, a worm, a fluke, you know, a Cinco. What do you do when you get a bite on a fluke or a Cinco, guys? When you feel tick-tick or a thump on any of those soft plastic baits that are rigged weedless, you reel down your slack, you feel for the fish to be moving with the bait. That is what he's trying to explain to you guys on the hook set for you beginners. Just because it's a tight line bite and you feel the bite really hard, don't swing right away. If it's rigged like a weedless piece of plastic, set the hook the same way. So when you get that bite, keep reeling, feel the load of the fish, feel the fish move with the bait a little bit, and then when you do set the hook on those weedless ones, drop the hammer.
Because what happens if the fish grabs it and you just snatch it right away, a lot of times it's gonna just pop straight out this way, and it's just gonna blow out. If you let them actually close their mouth on it and start swimming with it,
get a grip on it.
It'll push that down and push that plastic out of the way.
Exact same thing with the Texas rig worm, Texas rig Cinco, all that good stuff like we just mentioned. Now, on a line through bait, grab that line through real quick. And I'll come to you a little bit here. So, on this line through bait with a treble hook hanging off the bottom of it, or on a glide bait like it's hanging right there that has 2 treble hooks hanging off of it, on any of those types of baits, when they get a bite, we can just lean into them almost like a crankbait? Or how's that work?
I still like to let them get it a little bit, because a lot of times what will happen is they'll hit that bait to try to almost kill it.
Okay.
And then they'll come back for it. And
That's exactly right.
If you start snatching it right away, you'll pull it away from them a lot of times. So let them go ahead and grab it, because this whole thing is soft other than this little hook. They're not going to grab it and blow it out normally. They're going to grab it and start to swim off with it, and then you can hit them.
That is the next really important general tip for swim baits is you're going to get a lot of bites that aren't eating your bait. You're going to get a lot of nose punches, and they hit it hard, guys. Like, they'll jar your rod and never have the bait. So that's the other reason it is important to keep reeling that bait, keep reeling up that slack, feeling for that fish, because when you feel bump, if you'll keep it coming, bump, you'll keep it coming, eventually they're going to come through there and decleat that thing, and you're going to have them at that point, right?
Yeah, and that's, as far as retrieves, like a lot of people that get into swim baits, they don't have confidence in fishing it, so they'll throw it 2 or 3 casts,
Yeah.
And they'll put it down.
That's kind of like, you could have that conversation about a lot of different baits and bass fishing, right? Like, I know back in the day for me, it was, a long time it was a jig. Like, I could catch them on Texas rig. I was a flipper. I grew up in Southeast Texas pitching and flipping and shallow water dobbing. But for some reason, I just couldn't build confidence in a jig. Well, the reason was I would throw that jig for 15 minutes and then pick up my crawl bait.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with this, man. With anything, you got to commit to it, especially with swim baits. Swim baits are a patient bait. Everybody knows, everybody's heard you don't get as many bites, but you get bigger bites on a swim bait. So it's one of those deals where you got to be patient and give those bites time to happen.
Yeah, and 90% of the time, the correct retrieve for the baits that I like to fish and the way I like to fish them is just slow and steady. Like if you saw any of the fish I caught today, I'm sitting there and I'm turning my reel handle about like this.
Yep.
Just enough to keep the bait kicking and just enough to get it just right on ticking the top of the grass that we were fishing. And that's how I fish a swim bait 90% or more of the time.
I would say that would be a tip maybe for the more advanced guys that are, more experienced fishermen, fish a lot of different baits, versatile guys, and have some experience with baits. We tend to not be patient as bass fishermen. We tend to want to chunk and wind and go and go and go and go, especially if you're a winder like I am. You got to force yourself on a swim bait to slow down. Here's the thing about a swim bait. They're going to get behind it and track it. They'll follow it more than they will any other bait in the sport. So you've got to slow it down and give that fish time to look at it long enough to commit to biting it. Right. Do you want to grab that glide bait and maybe show us a retrieve and just how slow we're talking about on some of those? Because I think the slowest retrieve probably is the glide bait retrieve, right?
Yeah, for a lot of people, they'll throw a glide bait a handful of times. And the way I made this glide bait, it's actually called the slow glide. And I made it that way for a reason, because you get to paying attention. A lot of the big bass guys out in West Coast, they fish really, really slow when they throw in a glide bait. And I wanted one that I could fish extremely slow that would kind of hover in the strike zone. And, I've had that bait out there for 10 seconds, 15 seconds?
Been a while. And that is
and it's only
10
been,
feet?
Yeah, it's only been, and it's only moved the bait 10 feet. Now, I'm imparting action to the bait, but it's side to side, back and forth. It's not a lot of motion coming towards me.
It's a lot of movement without a lot of movement, right? We don't move forward very much, but we're moving all the time. Yeah.
Now there's a lot of different variations you can do with a glide bait retrieve. You can speed it up, and the way I made this one, you can actually chop it a lot quicker, back and forth, and all you have to do, it's all done with the reel. Like, I don't have to ever move my rod. I point my rod right at the bait, and I can make this bait just dance back and forth without ever moving my rod.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people on glide baits do a lot of twitching and stuff, and you're actually, the way you design it, you're doing that. Go ahead and show them.
So yeah, it's all just little turns, little quarter turns for the most part. I can make that bait go back and forth. Now, when I made this bait, you can take this pin out. This is a carbon fiber pin in it. I can take it out because I like to use live scope, and there's times when you want a bait to sink faster. I can take this out and actually put a stainless pin in it and actually get it down deeper.
Gotcha.
And work
That's
it.
cool.
You can actually work it a little quicker.
That's pretty cool.
So,
the
way this is made right here, like I can, and I've done it before at a seminar, and
this is supposed to be like quick tips at the end of the video.
Yeah, well,
this is a whole separate video.
Yeah, you can take this you can take this glide bait, and I can start it on one side of the tank, and I could make it by doing like half chops and full chops, and I can make it go 3 to 4 foot.
Oh yeah, I've seen you do that.
One side or the other.
Yeah, where you short chop it on one side, long chop it on the other. Yeah, I've seen that. That's really cool.
Like I can chop it long, short, and then I can chop it this way, then go back this way.
Yeah, you're steering that bait.
So you can steer it around.
Yeah.
So it's
that's really cool.
When you really get in tune with how a bait acts, you can do some really neat stuff with it.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, Heath, man, I really appreciate that, dude. That was great. That was not exactly how I planned that segment, but I'm pretty sure the guys that are wanting to know stuff about swim baits probably won't mind you going a little bit longer than I thought it would. That was cool, man. Got some good stuff out of there. Dude, I know I've seen it on the water. There's times when you get a swim bait in your hands and it's like, oh, hang on, that's a little different. That's a little special. So thank you very much for letting us get inside that head of yours that has so much knowledge on these swim baits, dude. Really appreciate
Anytime.
it. Absolutely, dude. My man. It's always good to spend time with you, brother. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, hopefully this video will help you guys out. Hopefully help you catch more and bigger fish. It's what we've always been about here at your Lake Fork Guide for 8 years now, brother. 8 years.
It's a long time.
It was a little over 8 years ago when me and you met and you came walking down a boat ramp and gave me a box of swim baits. You remember that?
It's weird. Doesn't seem like it's been that long.
It's been a long time. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but I think the math is math. I think it's been 8 years. So it's been good, man. But yeah, we've always been about that. We'll always be about that here at your Lake Fork Guide, helping each other catch more and bigger fish. We appreciate you guys watching as always, and we will see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.